Hello and welcome to Granada Reports. We are live with the news from across the northwest.
Yeah, good evening. Here's what's coming up on tonight's programme.
An inquest into a newborn girl who died from a brain injury. Here's she could have survived if she'd been delivered sooner. We're live with the details.
Tougher laws on those underage trying to buy knives. The police and the government crack down in a bid to prevent needless deaths.
Still shocked. I mean, we shouldn't really be able to buy that.
All it takes is for a kid to come and buy that and then just murder people.
A hospice funding crisis. How a donation in your will can ensure people like Steve get the end-of-life care they need.
I've heard words thrown around saying it was a good death, but it was. It could have been so horrific, but it was made very peaceful, calm.
Making a difference with a microphone. The teenagers using a podcast to open up about their feelings.
And 7 Celsius today in Manchester. By this time tomorrow, it could be as high as 15 degrees. What a change. But the payoff, well, it's not going to be settled sunshine, I'm afraid. I'll have the full forecast for you later in the programme.
Well, first tonight, an inquest's been told a newborn girl who died from a brain injury could have avoided that injury if she'd been delivered sooner.
A neonatal expert says Ida Locke's slowing heart rate wasn't spotted for 20 minutes while her mum was in labour at the Royal Lancaster Infirmary in November 2019.
The coroner at County Hall in Preston heard Ida's umbilical cord was compressed, depriving her of oxygen.
Our correspondent Rob Smith was at the hearing today. Rob.
Yeah, minutes could have made a difference, this coroner's court was told today. Ida Locke suffered damage to tissues deep within her brain, an expert said, because she was deprived of oxygen during labour. Her umbilical cord was compressed. Simon Mitchell, a neonatal expert, told the coroner that a slowing heart rate for an unborn baby is a sign of that cord compression, of that lack of oxygen. But he added there was, quote, no documentation of Ida's heart rate for some 20 minutes during labour. He told the coroner that unborn babies can endure about 10 minutes of that cord compression, of that slowed heart rate, and still be okay if they're born quickly enough and they get the care that they need. But he said after that 10 minutes, the damage mounts and mounts. And he said that if Ida had been born sooner, she could have potentially survived, even avoided that injury completely. This inquest has been going for a number of days now and has heard evidence of various failings and of big differences between the Royal Lancaster Hospital Trust's own internal review and an independent report, what those found, and powerful evidence from Ida's mum too, who said she was left feeling that she was somehow responsible for her daughter's death. She and Ida's dad thanked publicly in this courtroom today one of the doctors who tried to save their daughter, a doctor who burst into tears at that thanks. Dr. Matthew Phillips was working at the Royal Lancaster that day. He was bleeped to go to the delivery room. He told the court that when he got there, Ida was already out. She was being worked on, but her chest wasn't rising and falling, he said, as he was expecting it to, as staff tried to ventilate her. He said settings on a machine designed to help her breathe weren't correct as well. He took over ventilation, changed those settings, and he said her heart rate rose. Sadly, she died several days later. The hospital trust, the University Hospitals of Morecambe Bay Trust, has already publicly accepted that Ida's birth should have been, quote, expedited. This inquest continues tomorrow.
OK, Rob, for now, many thanks indeed.
Well, next tonight, and stricter rules are being introduced by the government in a bid to crack down on online retailers selling knives to children as part of a national push to protect youngsters from falling victim to knife crime. Yeah,
it comes as Greater Manchester police officers took to the streets this week to put shops to the test to see if they would sell the potentially deadly weapons to underage teenagers. Our political correspondent, Leisha Manali, reports.
In the wrong hands, knives like these can maim and murder, and they're ending up in the wrong hands too often and too easily. These kids are just 13 and 14, but have just bought a 6-inch blade from this shop in Haywood. Neither of them asked for ID.
He didn't even give us a look, he just took the money and let us go with it. Still shocked. I mean, we shouldn't really be able to buy that.
I didn't think I was going to get a knife today, but now that I have, I feel a bit so anxious. All it takes is for a kid to come and buy that and then just murder people.
Were there any other shop workers in there that you saw?
This time, the purchase is a test. These teenagers are actually police cadets working undercover in Rochdale, seeing if shopkeepers will illegally sell them a knife.
Right, we'll go back in now. Well done.
It's a chance for Greater Manchester officers to educate shopkeepers about the law and tell them to ID anyone who looks under 25.
You sold this knife to young lads?
Yeah.
Yeah, you have. These type of weapons are being used to kill people, injure people, all right?
Yeah.
Okay, young people are using them. Okay, so I need you to do your bit and make sure they're not getting on the streets.
This undercover work is part of Operation Venture, a multi-year effort to tackle violence and knife crime. And here in Greater Manchester, the rates are among the highest in the country, around 400 incidents every month.
They're in business to sell items from the shop. I don't think they're thinking what these items could be used for. You can see for yourself, it must be, what, a 6-inch blade there? Serious injury, and it could more than likely kill somebody without a doubt. So again, that's why we're going down that education and learning, making sure that they understand what the consequences could be. We've been doing this over the last sort of 12 months, so I think slowly but surely that message is getting across.
The shop owner has been issued with a warning and will be tested again. Meanwhile, the cadets head along the high street and attempt another purchase. This time, the shopkeeper does the right thing and sends them on their way.
No way I was going to sell a kid a knife. Come on, look at the size of that knife. You know, these they're kids, these guys. You know, they might think they're playing around. It's not a toy, that.
6 shops were tested in this operation and only 1 broke the rules. But the online marketplace is much harder to police. And today the government announced a new law aimed at changing that. Websites will now be required to report suspicious or bulk orders of knives to try to prevent illegal resales on social media. There'll be a dedicated police unit created to monitor such sales and tougher age verification checks for all online purchases. The jail term for those caught selling to the under 18s will rise from 6 months to 2 years and could apply to whoever processed the sale, including a company's CEO.
Everyone has to take responsibility. We cannot continue with this online free-for-all that makes it too easy with these lethal loopholes of selling knives and dangerous weapons.
Online or on the streets, stemming the flow of underage sales is a marathon task. But with the government trying to halve knife crime over the next 10 years, the hope is that both efforts will be key steps in that journey. Leisha McNally, ITV News.
Well, next, into the plea from hospices to help with their funding crisis to ensure everybody gets the end-of-life care they deserve.
Yeah, a campaign has been launched this week to persuade people to leave a gift in their will to support their local centre, which heavily rely on charity donations to keep their services running.
One hospice in Blackpool has revealed that last year, gifts left in wills paid for the care of 1 in every 4 patients and their families, something they otherwise wouldn't be able to do.
Well, Mel Barham has been to see the difference the funding can make.
It's the first time there's ever been a campaign like this for hospices. 143 of them from across the UK, clubbing together to encourage people to leave a gift in their will.
How are you doing? I'm fine, thanks. How are you? Yeah.
Here at Trinity Hospice and Bryan House Children's Hospice in Blackpool, they need £14 million every year just to keep going. Only 28% of that funding comes from the government. The rest is down to the generosity of the public.
It's always been very difficult, but to be honest, with cost of living and the other things that are going on, it's becoming extremely challenging. We're also very, very dependent on legacies. So for us as a local hospice on the Fylde Coast, 30% of our income comes from people's generosity left in their wills. And without that, we wouldn't be able to survive. And this is true across the whole of the UK now.
This hospice actually has a capacity for 18 beds, but because of the lack of funding, they're only able to afford to run 14 at the moment, and that's pretty standard across the whole of the UK. Of course, what that means is that there will be people who want or need hospice care who simply won't be able to get it.
His death, which I know we've said, I've heard words thrown around saying it was a good death, but it was. It could have been so horrific, but it was made very peaceful, calm. We all got to spend time with him, and for us, that was huge.
Steve was 45 when he was diagnosed with stomach cancer, but he got the death he wanted here at Trinity Hospice, something for which his family is forever grateful.
Do you ever wonder what would have happened if he hadn't have been able to come here?
Yeah. I can't put it into words how traumatic it was for Steve and for us watching him until he came here. It haunts me what he went through, and it just changed when he came here. Not only the care, the medication, they just managed to juggle everything that he was at peace.
Pippa says she will be leaving a gift in her will. She hopes Steve's story will inspire others to follow her lead. Mel Barham, ITV News, Blackpool.
OK, well, let's take a look at some more of the day's news now. And the mother of Alice da Silva Aguirre has thanked the people of Southport for their support in her first media interview since her daughter was murdered. 9-year-old Alice, here on the right, died along with 6-year-old BB King and Elsie Dot Stankham, who was 7 in the attack last summer. Alex Aguirre says the support she and her husband received was incredible and made the town feel like home. Axel Rudder-Cabana has been jailed for a minimum of 52 years for the attack.
A big roundabout over a major railway line in Stockport will be closed to traffic for 1 year while work is being done to replace an old bridge. Greek Street's roundabout will be closed from the 31st of March as part of Network Rail's £16 million investment to replace the bridge that crosses over the West Coast Main Line. Network Rail said they know the closure will be disruptive, but that it is essential to keep the road and railway safe.
Now, our region's theatres are leading the way, encouraging older people to get involved in acting and the arts. There you go, Gamal. After your starring role in Bridget Jones, you found somewhere you could continue your acting career.
All right. Anyway, 2 plays by the veteran writer Carly Churchill are currently on at Manchester's Royal Exchange Theatre and includes a cast of 4 women in their 70s and some support actors performing for the very first time.
Yeah, many got the bug and are now writing their own play with support from Manchester's 53-2 Theatre. And Elaine Wilcox caught up with some of the cast, thrilled to have such powerful roles.
I'm walking down the street and there's a door in the fence open, and inside are 3 women I've seen before.
So this is a Carol Churchill double bill, incredible performances by you both. Annette, just tell us, you're in both plays. Escaped Alone, we see first.
Yes, set in a garden, and you get women who are in their 70s. Hurrah! Thank you, Carol. She was in her 70s when she wrote it, so fantastic.
The Elders Company, which is encouraging older actors to get involved, to create roles and challenge stereotypes. They have a role in the plays too.
They bring their stories and their histories, and that's tremendous, and they're wonderfully supportive and extremely good.
And the second play is about grief. And even though there are very big subjects and there's some incredibly funny lines as well.
Often where there's grief, there's laughter as well, or trauma, there's laughter. And I think those 2 things, that's real life. That's how it
survive,
is.
yeah.
Exactly.
That's how we get through.
So Lamentore from Manchester, your very first Carol Churchill play.
It's been a challenge, but performing in this beautiful space has been a blessing and a dream, something that I've dreamed of for over 10 years. Carol Churchill's work's phenomenal. It was nice to meet her as well. We met her the other night. She came and watched it on the Saturday matinee.
How scary was that, having the writer watching?
I didn't find it too scary. I found it enjoyable, exciting. The pressure comes from within usually, and I think it was just nice to meet her and connect with her.
I think what threads through Carol's work a lot of the time is, aren't people so interesting? And I think that's what comes up with the Elders as well. Like, they might not have taken the acting route, but each one of them have got such interesting stories.
And they must be terrified knowing they're in a show with you.
I'm terrified. I'm terrified.
You've no need whatsoever. I try not to scare them. I like working with them. They're fantastic.
They're really getting the money's worth out of Annette. The rest of us are just part-timers.
And if you haven't seen a Carol Churchill play, what would you say to someone?
Come along, you'll be completely compelled by it, and you will laugh, and you may cry, and you will know you're alive.
That's lovely. I don't think I can top that.
Looks fantastic,
doesn't it? Just awesome.
And you're going to go and see yourself and Bridget Jones tonight, aren't you?
Yeah, I certainly am. You're not going to be coming to the Oscars with me. I'll invite another guest.
Oh, let's move on to sport. And can Manchester City produce their biggest performance of the season tonight, Mike?
Yeah, they're going to have to do that as well, aren't they? They really do have their work cut out tonight if they want to stay in the Champions League. City are in Spain for the second leg of their Champions League playoff with Real Madrid. The first leg didn't go according to plan, meaning they trail 3-2 heading into the match. A place in Friday's last 16 draw is on the line tonight.
Yeah, you have to make an almost perfect game, obviously. The result is not good. Always we came with a more or less good result, but the result is not the perfect situation. We have to attack, we have to score goals. This is the idea.
We play against a very good team and a team with a lot of special moments in this competition. But yeah, we believe that we can come here, we can try. And maybe eventually put some problems to this Madrid team, knowing, as I said, that they're a top side, yeah.
Well, Liverpool are already through to Friday's draw for the last 16. Tonight they continue in their quest to win the Premier League, and it's going well, isn't it? Here's the top of the table. They could open up a 10-point lead with a win at Aston Villa. Well, next to the cost of replacing a Premier League manager. Manchester United paid a total of £14.5 million to sack Erik ten Hag, his backroom staff and sporting director Dan Ashworth. The figure's been released in United's latest accounts. Ten Hag was sacked in October, just a few months after United triggered an extension clause in his contract. To last night's action, and a brilliant strike by Emil Rees earned Preston North End a draw against Millwall. North End trailed 1-0 in the Championship clash at Deepdale when the Danish striker produced this moment of magic to earn his side a 1-1 draw. In League One, Wigan Athletic had to make do with a point as they drew 1-1 away to Crawley Town. In League Two, Fleetwood played out a goalless draw with Wimbledon and Morecambe lost to Doncaster. Finally, to Rugby League, and as they approach the second round of fixtures in Super League, reigning champions Wigan Warriors are dusting themselves down. They were part of a classic match in round one, playing out the first 0-0 draw in Super League history. But it was opponents Lee who took the points on the night after a drop goal in Golden Point extra time.
Sport, innit? It's sport. That's the beauty of it. I've been on the other side of them results as well and thought the Golden Point were brilliant. We're in the entertainment business and we put on some entertainment for the fans that have come out and paid money. Unfortunately for our fans, we didn't get the win, but Rugby League won and that's still good.
Yeah, Wigan heading to Hull this weekend before boarding a flight to Las Vegas for that match against Warrington a week on Saturday. I've been to Hull, it's very nice, but I'd rather go to Las Vegas, wouldn't you?
Only slightly more glamorous. Thanks, Mike. And finally, what's your favourite podcast? Well, there's hundreds, if not thousands, to choose from. And one Manchester poet is using the popular platform to get young people talking.
Yes, David Scott, also known as Our Kid, has been into East Manchester Academy after being inspired listening to young people wax lyrical about their views and opinions.
Well, they now record a weekly show about a whole host of subjects, and David is looking to take the project into different schools and communities. As Jamal Williams-Thomas went to have a listen.
How do you cope with losing people close to your family members?
Right, okay. And how have we found sort of talking about that sort of stuff?
It's like a bit of an emotional topic, but
normally we're told not to talk in class, but for these lads, talking is very much encouraged. That's because they're recording a podcast. These pupils at the East Manchester Academy are working with poet David Scott and are being motivated to chat about their feelings and issues in society.
To see them in the first episode, they were very shy and reserved, and you put a microphone in front of them and they didn't really want to open up because they didn't know me, but give them the next session and then they were a lot more talkative, more comfortable, and with that it was allowing them to express themselves in ways that they may not do at home.
The topics range from football and family to toxic masculinity.
This podcast is a good thing because it helps me and others as people express our emotions and learn about aspects of life and learn from others from their experiences.
And a lot of the time the conversation drifts nicely onto food.
Loaded fries in there.
Yeah, loaded fries with the cheese and
sweet chili chicken.
Oh.
So naturally, I had to ask.
What is your favourite kind of kebab?
Chicken doner with chilli sauce, garlic sauce and salad.
The important stuff. And for some of the pupils, it's helped their confidence come on in leaps and bounds since moving to Manchester.
Before, I don't used to speak to people and more, but now after the podcast, I feel comfortable and that.
It made me more explore Manchester more, know more things that I don't know. We share if I don't know something, I'll maybe tell the people that I'm doing the podcast with, and if they don't know, I'll tell me.
We wouldn't normally talk about mental health or looks, maxing, or being a man in society.
It's improved my communication skills and giving more valuable answers.
I was actually interviewed by the boys a couple of weeks ago, and to say it was a grilling is an understatement. I think the last time I was grilled like that was when I was interviewed for my post. But it also helps me think about the resources we need to develop into areas, so it's had positives for everyone.
It's really wonderful that we can show our vulnerable side to each other and be like a family.
Becoming Men will be released in the very near future. Jamal Williams-Thomas, ITV News, Beswick.
I can't tell you how nice that is, seeing young lads opening up, talking about their emotions. There was none of that when I was a kid at school.
No, it's fantastic to see, isn't it?
Yeah. What's your favourite kebab?
I'd have to agree, chicken kebab.
Yeah. Mixed doner every day of the week. Nice and spicy. Here's Tori.
Why do I need a shower? I've been out in the rain.
The faster you go, the sooner you'll be out. You'll save water too.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
Well, it's all change. Much milder weather heading our way, but the double-edged sword, it's coming in with some very unsettled conditions. So, yes, it will be milder, but it's going to get very windy and often really quite wet as well. Now, temperatures this week really have changed. On Monday, I remember telling you it was only 4 Celsius, and by tomorrow we could be seeing highs of 15. That really is a jump, but it is coming in with low pressure. So, yes, that southwesterly wind is going to be raising those temperatures, but a lot of rain to come, very strong winds as well, and Friday is looking particularly unsettled, but we'll get more details of that to you as it gets a little bit closer. Back to the here and now. This evening is looking fairly quiet, but blustery showers will soon get going as we head through the night tonight, and they could well be thundery as well, so don't be too surprised if you get woken up by those in the early hours. Temperatures though lifting through the night, so by tomorrow morning we'll be starting off at around 10 Celsius. Now sunrise is at 7:20 and sunset is at 5:30 in the evening. And a bit of a look at the detail. Well, we'll see some clusters of showers pushing through quite quickly in the morning, and then a bit of an interlude before some heavier bursts of rain arrive again around the middle part of the day. But then later in the afternoon, it should dry out and brighten up quite nicely. And in that sunshine, in spite of that strong blustery wind, it's going to feel pleasantly warm with temperatures of 14 or 15 Celsius. So quite the change. Always staying windy though, and that wind picking up as we head into Friday, which is looking very unsettled with some heavy spells of rain.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
Thanks, Tori. 15 degrees. I'm going to be shedding my big coat tomorrow.
Delightful. We shall see you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.